credit cards as a tool. They are not necessarily free money. And there's no sense in chasing, say, 3, 4, or 5x on your credit card when you're paying 18 to 25% in interest. So don't let fear of missing out rule you. That is something that it seems like this hobby does attract a little of that, of like, oh, I got to do that. I got to do that. Don't get too excited. Stick to your usual budgets.
Did not kill her.
What
I'm
does
sorry. Sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. We got to put someone on mute.
Come on.
Everyone can. Faith, you need to be on mute. Okay.
I might. No.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I got it. I'm done.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. So this is one thing to just, I would say, tread carefully. There's a lot of, I would say, advantages of this program, obviously. And part of that is the credit card program and how that moves. So how I'm going to start out today is about the 5 myths about Southwest Rapid Rewards. One is that the companion pass is impossible to get. Hopefully by the end of this hour, you realize that it's not so hard. It really is more of a question of, are you going to put the effort or use your card slots to pursue it? For some of you, that's going to make sense. For some of you, it's not. Some of you maybe want to get a sign-up bonus just so you can get a few free flights, and it's not worth doing what I would call the extra effort to get the pass. It does not take a ton of spend to get the companion pass. If you do 2 sign-up bonuses, you could do it for probably as little as like $3 to $5 grand. Is that over say a 3 to 5 month period? But the reality is that for some of you, that might not be worth it. It's an opportunity cost that you could have redirected that spend to a different sign-up bonus. Another myth, and actually Ben already mentioned it, about Southwest not flying internationally. Although a lot of people think that they do have a ton of what I would call beach vacations already available, already in their network. But now with their international partnerships is that you can, on one ticket, no risk of repositioning and the 2 flights not lining up and you miss it, like that risk will be down if you do book on a continuous ticket. And they do have baggage agreements that check those through now. For both those airlines that go across the Atlantic and Pacific. The rapid reward points expire quickly. They actually don't expire at all. So you don't have to kind of watch your timeouts as long as your account remains active. There is no expiration. And the other one is that Southwest points don't have the best value. And I'm going to go into that one right away. So as far as point value, when you compare it to some of the other, what I would say main US airlines, it is kind of mid straight away, right? So 1.4 cents of value can be probably as little as 1.1, like on a basic fare sometimes as high as like 1.7, even 1.8. So it's really kind of just a little bit below American. But when you compare it to Delta and United, it actually is a little bit higher. And then when you compare to the hotel cards unfortunately keep getting kind of cranked down a little bit. Is that all of them, for most of them, are under a penny now, where Hyatt is the standout there. And it's part of the reason why a lot of people are obviously super fans of Hyatt, partially because of that reason. But where it really shows the advantage is when you can fly buy one, get one, is that you're really getting what I would call kind of some of those sweet spot international redemption type of value by having a companion pass. So if you can fly there for 10,000 points, is that basically for that amount of points plus another 560 in the TSA fee, and you could take your +1 with you. So that's where the real advantage is, especially if Southwest is where you can fly or want to fly. So there is a question about where I source the values. Those are kind of a mix. I do reference kind of Point Sky, but some of that is personal experience too. So you're allowed, obviously, to tweak your own values, but that's generally a sweet spot. A year ago, Southwest, I would have said, is in the 1.5 to 1.6 range. But with some of these changes and adding the basic fare, is that it actually curved down a little bit on the cheaper fares, which kind of affects how those values are. So as far as definition of the companion pass, is it's really something that allows you to take a +1 for you for the price of taxes and fees. So it's unlimited. There's not just one ticket that you take. It's unlimited for the duration of your pass. So what we're going to talk about in a little bit is if you want to time your kind of companion pass achievement for early, say January or February of 2026, you'd have that pass all the way through the end of 2027. So you could have it for 23, even close to 24 months of having basically somebody that can fly with you domestically for 560. Obviously, international fees are higher, but Southwest isn't making anything on that. Those are the fees and the landing fees and duties that the basically other countries charge back to Southwest, and that you have to pay on your own. Very similar to doing those international redemptions anywhere else. So the two metrics, and we're going to talk mostly about the points tonight, because if you're doing 100 paid flights in a single calendar year, it's almost impossible not to also earn 135,000 qualifying points. So you can do it, what I would say, the hard way, but we're going to be talking about the point way tonight. The benefits is, I just mentioned, unlimited use, no limit to how long you can use it. My P2 flies with me probably 20, 25 times a year, and for $11.20 per round trip. It's almost a no-brainer for us, but obviously we're in Nashville, and that is pretty much half of the airport is basically Southwest, so we can get a lot of places from here. And some of y'all that are in the Southwest or Southeast, sorry, are basically going to probably connect through here if you're not already. So you do get some flexibility, but you need to be a little strategic about it. Say you want to fly with 2, even 3 people in a year, is that you can change your designated companion up to 3 times per calendar year. So again, to use myself as an example, is that my P2, my wife, normally is my companion, but like once a year, I'll switch away from her to go take a ski trip with a buddy. And then when I come back, switch back to her. So one thing that is a little challenging with that is that is 2 of my 3 changes. So you need to be strategic about it, and basically your end of your companion becomes your next year initial companion. So you need to kind of watch it, because it's not 3 people and you can do whatever you want. It's 3 changes as far as a calendar year goes. So as far as extending your trips, you can use this on both paid and award flights. You don't need to pay for the flight for the primary to be able to fly that +1. So whether it's points or you're paying cash, you can add that. So you really get that benefit no matter how you're getting the ticket. The only thing that you really can't do is add a companion to a companion. So you can't do buy 1, get 2 free. Even if you do, say, a husband and wife both earn it, is that you don't get to link them that way. So that's one way that you can definitely get extended value from it. As far as earning it, accumulating points, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Obviously, flying is a great way to do it. Spending on the credit cards is another way. But the one way that a lot of people do it, and I have people that are in Chase jail that basically can't even get a Chase Southwest card, that they actually do it all through hotels. Is that they use the hotel portal and book their hotels, and they basically get enough qualifying points straight through there. Car rentals, another, I would say, a lower value thing, but it is an option to get additional points. But here's the one thing to keep in mind: the points got to be earned within a single calendar year. So the challenge there is that there's people right now that are really close, and if they get their pass done right now, they will have it all the way through 2026. If you're doing it with sign-up bonuses, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, is that if you time that to achieve it way earlier in the year than, say, November, is that you would have it for the remainder of that year, which would mean basically the majority of 2026, and the entire following year, which would be all of 2027. So especially for those that are going for it the first time, is that that's a huge advantage, is that you can get that timing and get it basically for way longer than I think that the airline meant you to get it.
Craig, can I clarify something right now? Because I know
Sure.
some of the other programs, there's usually 2 numbers. There's like one of the points that goes toward loyalty and one of the points that goes toward redemption. I think Southwest kind of sometimes calls the ones that don't count for loyalty like a bonus point. Does Southwest have that kind of distinction as well?
They do have a distinction, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But they do have 3 buckets. So they have a bucket that is basically the rapid reward points, and that's just kind of a rolling bucket of what you can use to buy flights. And they have a companion qualifying point bucket, which is what we're talking about here. And then they have a tier qualifying point bucket. So we'll talk more about what's different about the companion and the tier in another couple slides. But that is one thing that I would say to maximize your accumulation is that you want to try to not only strategize your sign-up bonuses and things like that, but Southwest always has a sale. For those of you that follow me already, you've probably seen a bunch of posts that I say like another Tuesday, another sale. Some are good, some are not so good, some are regional, some are national. Like it really depends on who's going to score on that deal, is that they rotate it around. So there's always something going on, and you can reprice those flights. And sometimes now on the new basic fare, you do need to cancel and rebook, but you can basically recapture those points or get flight credit back when they do run those sales. The other thing is those partner promotions and bonuses can be huge, right? So especially coming into Black Friday, watch the shopping portal. I'm assuming that a lot of Ben's fans are obviously used to doing a shopping portal of some sort. If not, you have accounts to 5 or 6. But one way, especially when you're working on a companion pass, is that there's an opportunity cost. Say Rakuten might have a fantastic deal, but say it's just a little bit less on the Southwest shopping portal. You still might want to do it if it helps you qualify for this buy one, get one free kind of deal. And then once you do requalify, then you basically are using, what is the app called, Ben? SaveWise? The one that you're talking about at the beginning? SaveWise app. So SaveWise, like if you're basically using that kind of app to check what's the best deal, sometimes you might not want to take the best deal because you're working on status or working on a companion pass or something like that. So a few things. So these are, I would say, some of the most frequently asked things on my page. The first is, can I just buy points to get to the rest of the way there? The answer is no. So there's exclusions about basically how all this works and basically buying your way to basically get to your 135K points. The purchase points really only count towards buying flights themselves. It doesn't count towards tier or companion qualifying points. And to be honest, it's usually not a very good deal either. About the only reason to do it typically is because you're close to a redemption, that or you have some kind of promo code that is only good for utilization on points. Transfer of points likewise doesn't count towards companion qualification. It's very similar, is that you can do it. That gives that basically destination person the ability to buy flights with them, but it doesn't make the companion or the tier qualifying tracker move.
Craig, you
Sure.
mentioned it doesn't count to purchase of points, but is it a good deal to buy Southwest points?
Almost never. Really, those two cases are the reason basically that you might want to purchase a little amount. Is that if you are going to be able to get to a reward redemption, say you have 25,000 points, but your reward is 27,500, then maybe you buy the 2,500 so you get the complete flight free. But other than that, and a promo that's only good on points and not good on cash, there's really almost no reason to do it, especially not in this program.
Is it because the Southwest points, the purchase price, even with a discount, will still be higher than what you're going to be redeeming it at?
Often, right? So it's usually when they say it's on sale at basically when it started at some crazy price that nobody would pay. It can get what I would say close to the value, but it usually is still higher. And then, of course, you're at the risk of devaluations. Like a couple of years ago, we might have been able to say that the value is like 1.8-ish, and now it's 1.4. Is that I don't recall any program in my 25 or so years of traveling and chasing points and being a road warrior that I ever remember a point value going up, right? Is that there used to be lots of point values that were much higher than they are today. And that's another reason to, what I would say, put a plug in for churn and burn. Get your points, enjoy them as you go. Don't try to save too many. Obviously, some of y'all are going to have bucket list type of trips that you're going to need hundreds of thousands of points to do. Don't bank on millions. When people say they have 2-3 million points, I just shake my head. It's a declining asset. It's not really an investment, right? So enjoy them while you can, for sure. So that's my little soapbox for the night. As far as designation, that's one thing that I didn't mention before. Is that initial designation when you pick your person? That doesn't count as one of your changes. That's just your initial designation. So that first year that you earn it, you actually kind of get one extra. So that can be a strategy too. And especially if you earn it, say, in the middle of the year, is you have 3 per year plus your initial designation, is you might be able to pull off a few more trips with more people because you don't need to use a change away from somebody because the year will basically give you a reset of 3 more changes. Can you have multiple passes? No, you cannot. You can't earn 270,000 points and get 2. Each person gets 1. They had teased that example in past surveys, but that's never come to fruition. And the other thing that is super commonly misunderstood is that you got to save the 135,000 to redeem the companion pass. That's not true. Is that you actually not only do you not need to basically save them to get them, you also can spend on your way. So you don't say you earn a $50,000 or point sign up bonus, is that you can basically go on a 45,000 point trip and your companion pass tracker won't go down, but your reward balance will. So you can spend your points along the way. You don't need to save them, and you don't lose 135,000 points when you quote unquote qualify for it. So to go back to Ben's question before, the types of Southwest points. So these are the 3 main buckets. So those reward points that's the up and down counter. That's basically your points that you can use to redeem for free flights. Tier qualifying points, those are the ones that count towards status. And that gives you basically some of the perks like priority boarding, faster points earning rates. You basically get some express lanes when you're checking in baggage. For those of you that don't have things like pre-check, there are some express lanes from a security lane perspective, and there's also a special phone line. So for those of you that might have traveled in the last week, it wasn't so pleasant. Is that people that did have A list or A list preferred were getting through in under 5 or 10 minutes, where other people were waiting up to over an hour. So it's definitely a good benefit to have when things hit the fan. When there's basically, in our case, we were up in Chicago for the Chicago seminars. Is that it snowed? I woke up on Tuesday morning to 14 inches of snow, and obviously that affected what Chicago and Milwaukee were doing as far as flights go. The companion pass qualifying points, that's the bucket we've been talking about. Those are the ones that count towards earning the pass. And that basically is a separate bucket. Almost everything does count except for the things we talked about before, like buying points and transferring them. Is that most of the credit card spend, obviously flying counts, hotel stays counts, all of those things, and we'll talk more about that soon. So this is where the different kind of sources come in. So when it comes to flights, that counts for everything. You get spendable points, you get those tier points and companion qualifying points. So for those of you that do fly on revenue fares, that's the way to start accumulating for sure. So on the Southwest credit cards, though, is that most of them, the Plus card being one of them that doesn't, most of them do earn 2,500 tier points per 5,000 spent. Some earn a little less, some earn 1,500 or 2,000. So definitely when you're looking at which credit card to go with, if you're gonna plan on using some spending to get to status, in other words, you're not going to fly enough to get there organically, is definitely look at the credit cards that have the better earning multiplier. And do a little spoiler alert. Of course, they are the more expensive annual fee cards that earn better, but it's definitely worth considering. So as far as the credit card spending, those go straight one for one. 2 companion qualifying points, which does add up. So for those that don't fly at all, don't want to pursue any other program, you could put 135 grand on your credit card and be guaranteed to get a pass. That is the hard way. I hope you all don't do that, but that is a way, and it does obviously work for some people. And then referrals are another way. So when you refer friends to Southwest credit cards and to the Southwest business program, you can get those referral points count as spendable points for flights and the companion qualifying points both.
Craig, do you have any idea how many points they get on a referral?
So right now the personal referrals are at 20K per each, and you can get up to 100K points per year. So theoretically, if you are the nucleus in your own little travel group, is that you can get 100 of your 135K just from referrals. So that can be huge. And the Southwest Business Program, for those of you that might have a networking type thing, that's how I've done it in the past, is gone to business networking events locally here, and gotten some names and people to sign up for the biz program. Those are 25,000 each, and you can get 125K per year. So if you do a few of each, you could get there just from being a referral machine and not have to spend or fly at all, and you could get a pass.
Can you clarify the Southwest business program? You're getting someone else to sign up to be a business customer? Is that what we're clarifying?
Correct. You're setting them up to get a business booking tool. So that is a small and medium business, and you can do large businesses too, but it's really made for basically the businesses that don't have huge enterprise apps like Concur to book their travel. Is that there's some requirements. They have to have an EIN. They have to have multiple travelers. But even say 2 or 3 travelers most people can get qualified if they are flying for work. So that is a program where they go in the tool and book for their business, and then if something does happen where the flight credits come back, those are tagged for the business's use and things like that. So it is for booking flights. It's not a Southwest business credit card. It is a true business travel portal type of setup for small and medium businesses.
Okay, I want everyone to think about this for a second. If you have a friend of yours or friends who own a small business that has to send their colleagues or their employees out to travel, like I just had one of those where he has an appraisal business and he has to pay for his appraisers to go out there and inspect vehicles. So he's booking tickets for like 8 people all the time. Someone like that could use a Southwest business, and then they'll have some type of, like, they may end up giving, like, the benefit may be like they give everyone like A-list, status or like that, because they're booking a bunch of tickets for them. Think about that. If you have any friends and they do, and they're not booking that via that way right now, maybe they should, and they could be able to get some great benefits, something that you guys can be able to get 25,000 extra points. I just want to think about that.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that you get an extra multiplier goes to the business, right? So say the flight earns, say 6x is, I think you get like 1.5 or 2x additional to the business on the top tier. I think you get 4x additional to the business. So it's a way that the business is spending the money anyways, is they're getting more of a point, basically refund on that, for the business to basically be able to transfer. I mean, usually you just clear it to your own personal account and use them personally, but obviously the business could use it to fly their own people around, say for a sales call or something that's not billable to a customer. Is that those have their own point bucket too. So there's definitely advantages to that. And then also the transferable flight credit, things like that are much more flexible when you're in the biz program. The more ways to earn this is everything else. And what this is, the stacking and stacking and stacking, is that these everyday type of activities can definitely close that gap, especially after you get, say, the first time and you get it for 23 months. How do you get it for the next time? Obviously, your P2 could go and do it. You could do one card and some of these activities and keep it renewed. I like to promote that for your, what I would call your second lap, is to not always have to do 2 cards. Had a few people try for that last year and couldn't get the business card app through, right? Is that if you can do it with 1 card and a combination of some of these activities, is it's basically a more perpetual path for a lot of people. Hotels being the big one, booking hotels through the portal, you can get multipliers up into the 20, 25 kind of X range, which is great. So it's definitely a way that a lot of people get there. And it can be a little more expensive than say some of the discount sites like Priceline and stuff. But you are getting those points and they are companion qualifying. So it's definitely worth considering to get there. The dining program is pretty much the same dining program that's on a lot of airlines. You just kind of gotta pick. If you're like me, you have different credit cards hooked to different airlines, depending on which one you want to basically have points going towards. But you do get not only those spendable points for flights, but you also get companion qualifying points through the dining program. Shopping portal can be really lucrative for some people. Is that there's fair amounts of multipliers on those, and especially during holidays, there can be some pretty sweet deals, especially for stores that you might already spend money at, but even for like things like gifts. So there's definitely something to take a look at in additional to the stuff on SaveWise, is take a look at what it is. And it's all kind of an opportunity cost of what you want to pursue. The other one is rewards for opinions. You're not going to rack up a ton of points, but it's basically like giving opinions on stores and what is they're trying to get a grasp on your buying behavior and things like that. And are you going to buy a car in the next 6 months? So it's kind of sometimes can be kind of mindless stuff, but you get a few hundred points that way, and then they usually post fast. But coming into the end of the year, sometimes it's hard to get those invited to those surveys because a lot of people are doing it to get to their point level. So all of these things add together, including the promos along the way, to get to those 135,000 points. So just to go through a quick summary of the difference in points. A-list status and A-list preferred, you got to either fly or spend. Unless there's a special promotion that says like, hey, this quarter, like up to 5,000 points of your hotel stays will count for status. It doesn't count. So you either need to fly a fair amount or spend a fair amount to make that work. For Companion Pass, almost everything counts except for those transfers and purchase points. So the flights, the credit card spending, hotels, rental, dining, card referrals, shopping portal, they're all there. And then for the reward points, pretty much everything counts, including the transfers, including the bought points, even though they're not a good value, is that all of that kind of piles into your point balance there. So as far as strategy, I talked a little about kind of doing kind of a 2-card strategy. Is that right about this time of year is kind of perfect to get going because you would be able to easily time those sign-up bonuses to hit early in the year. So say you open a business card around now and you do that, say at 80,000 points, is that you want to make sure that you do that, but you don't go over until we're in 2026. Because if you get your bonus in December, that means it counts for this year. If you get your bonus in January, that means it counts for 26 and 27. So you want to make sure that you track that spending closely. There's a little tracker in the mobile app, and it's on the Chase website that basically says how far you are. Every year, actually had one a couple days ago that somebody, they thought they didn't spend over 4,000 because their credit card statement was 3,600, but they had bought something for like $600 and returned it. That makes that spending tracker go up. That thing, just like your companion tracker, it goes up, it doesn't go back down. So even though they returned something, is that spend counted, and they're going to get their bonus when their next statement closes, and it's going to come too early. So luckily, it's sort of salvageable for that particular person because it's going to give them enough points to get their pass for all of 2026. But they could have done it where they would have been good through 2027. But they are we're gonna make it work so it's not too much of a loss. It's more salvageable because they already had a decent amount of points. But for some of you that might be just starting now, that would be almost not recoverable because you couldn't get to the 135 by end of year and make that work. So definitely don't finish your spend on either card until the new year. But between, say, the personal card, say, I think that there's one at 85K right now. You'd easily have it. You'd have 165K minimum in the beginning of January when those January statements close, and then you'd have buy one get one free flights through the entire following year. Any questions on that?
I just wanted to clarify. So if they were to get a card this year and they were getting the points to apply after January the 1st, that would make 26 the qualifying year and then 27 the membership year. So they would actually have companion pass for 2 years.
Yep, you'd have it for, so say both your January statements basically close and you get to the 135, is that your qualifying year was 2026, you got to your 135, so you're good through the rest of 2026 and then through all of 2027, because it's always good for the remainder of the year that you achieved it plus the entire following year. So that's why this strategy is key and why I took the time to kind of do this stepwise graphic. You'll see a few of them on my page, depending by what card offers are out there. But that is the key, that if you're just starting from scratch, in other words, you don't already have a good chunk of points for 2025 already, is you really want to, you can get moving now, but you don't want to hit your minimum spend requirements until we're in 2026, is that you don't want to, you basically lose out on a year of the value of the pass.
Yeah. You just want to make sure the points hit after January the 1st. And the reason you can't open up two cards at the same time is because, is that a Southwest rule or a Chase rule with the business and personal?
Yeah, so you can, but I would say it's not recommended. So Chase has a what's called a 2 of 30 rule. They will give you a max of 2 cards in 30 days. So it is theoretically possible. Some people do it, and if you are going to do that, I would do them both on the same day and do the business card first. That is what I would call the aggressive path. My little infographic that I just showed there is not illustrative of that path. Is that is a good way for your second application to go into review, and then for on a reconsideration call to be asked questions like, why do you need 2 cards in the same program all like right now? I mean, they know what we're doing, but they're still asking those questions, right? If you space them out in between 30 days, especially when you're starting, say now, is it you have time. You can do an app now and do an app basically late December and still get all of those points in early January. So there's really no rush when you do it. The people that do what I would call get away with the 2 cards in the same day, they usually have super low velocity, that they haven't done a Chase card in a while, and haven't done a lot of other apps either. Is that in that case, go for it. You can do it, but that's, I would say, a more aggressive strategy for sure. So there's a few rules about the cards. Is that if you've had say a personal card and you've gotten a bonus within the last 24 months, you cannot get another personal card. So there is a rule, and it's bundled with all the personal cards, all kind of count together. So that is kind of one of the rules that can hang people up. So that also changes because the rule is since last bonus. So to use, say now as an example, say you did it a card at say at Halloween time, right? Is that you didn't get the bonus until the end of January. That means if you did that 2 years ago, you can't apply again until after that January achievement date. So if you're doing the 2 card method over and over again, a lot of times you get jammed up on timing because you can't reapply until 2 years after last bonus. So you might be in to basically March or even April by time you can apply, get approved, get a statement closed, get all your spend in, which is one of the reasons why I do like for renewal cases of trying to do it with 1 card combined with other activities, is that that's more perpetual going forward. So multiple personal cards, that's really out of the equation now. It used to be possible, but that's been closed for probably 8-9 years now. So you can only have 1. Multiple business cards. Can you have multiple business cards? Absolutely. So there's theoretically 3 cards you can get in that 24-month period. You can have one personal, one of the three, and you can have both business cards. So strategy wise is I usually tell people to do the lower business card in conjunction with the personal card the first time you do it, because the more expensive business card usually has higher sign up bonuses. So for you to extend your pass for that year three, it's often much easier to do when you can get that higher business sign up bonus. So this is both a short term kind of game to initially get it, but the long term game in year three and plus, especially if you want the primary traveler to be the same, is to quote unquote save that higher business card app for the second time around, because like this year there was an elevated bonus that ended a couple months ago. That was a 120K offer, and it was a 15K spend, so a little on the spendier side, but you're basically guaranteed to get the companion pass with just that one card, because of the bonus, and the spend level would get you there without any other activities. The other thing to keep in mind is that you cannot self-refer. So if you already have a personal card and you want a business card, is you can't refer your business because you're still you. Your social and your tax ID number go on that business card app, and it can't be you. So if you do have kind of a need for a card, and you don't have, say, a P2 that can refer you to your business card, would definitely appreciate using a creator account like mine to go get that second card, because you won't get the credit for it anyway. So it does help out a creator. Any questions on this?
Betsy, go ahead.
Yes, so just so I want to make sure I'm clear, the 24-month rule doesn't mean like when I got my Chase Sapphire in March, I'm good. So this is just Southwest Chase cards.
Correct. This is very distinct. So it's by basically card family, right? So basically the Sapphires have their own rule, right? And now of course they made that worse, right? But these are for Southwest personals as one, what I'll call corridor, and then the Southwest business cards are each have their own. So there's really three 24-month counters going at the same time. So that's a great question. But yeah, you can't just sit there and cycle through personal cards, because that's what people used to do, just bounce between versions, and they changed the rules on that. So great question.
Craig,
I will
sorry. Go
say
ahead.
I really appreciate you pointing out the fact that the 24-hour or the 24-month clock doesn't start until you earn the bonus, because the same thing is true with the Atmos Ascent and Summit card. You're not able to get a second card until 24 months from the day that you received the sign-up bonus to be eligible for the sign-up bonus. Of course, you could get the card, you just wouldn't get the sign-up bonus.
Yep. Nobody wants those messages when they reapply saying, "Oh, we'll give you the card, but we won't give you the bonus. So you sure you want to continue?" Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a war on happiness, but Chase is starting to do that more and more with their rules, and bringing that, unfortunately, to Sapphires and things like that as well.
Craig, I want to ask you about couples. In the past, one of the strategies was husband gets the card the first 2 years and then makes wife companion pass holder. In year three, wife gets companion pass and makes husband. Is that method still valid?
Oh, that's an awesome method if it works for you, right? So if the like kind of how you manage your credit card portfolio and kind of credit card velocity, if that works, and you, especially if you always travel together, like for us that doesn't work because I travel a fair amount for work. Is that if she had the pass, it would benefit me less. And it would actually make it difficult for me to keep status and things like that. Is flying on a companion pass doesn't get you any points, doesn't get you any status, doesn't get you anything. So no, that's a perfect way to dodge these 24-month rules, right? Is that P1, I'll just call it player one, they basically have the 24-month clock ticking, and say that goes into January, February, 2 years out, is that doesn't mean their P2 can't be applying in October and November. They can't, again, they have to wait till January, but their P2 can jump in this time of year and get those going, so there's no gap in coverage. So say they're done at 12/31 of 2025. is that then their P2 would basically be the pass holder, and that could pick up right basically in January of 26. So that's a great way to do what I would call the alternate strategy is you go P1 to P2 and you dodge basically all of these timeout clocks, because by time next time P1 needs to come back into the equation, all those 24-month rules are all basically exhausted. So that's a perfect way to do it for those that have basically a P1 and P2 that can basically stay under 524, basically be well enough in velocity wise to get two cards relatively close together. That's a perfect long-term option. And I actually do a webinar basically on that. It's like, now I got it. Now how do I keep it? So I do a kind of a strategy webinar to talk about those long-term plays.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
So Craig, you may have already mentioned this before, but when you're referring, you can earn the points towards the companion pass up to 100,000 points
Yep, per calendar year.
per calendar year, and you're earning 5,000 points per referral.
No, 20,000.
Oh, so it only takes 5 referrals.
Five people. Yep. So if you get 5 people to sign up through your link, you got 100 of 135 already. So if you're the nucleus in your little local group that can get people to sign up, business or personal, that's a great way to get there.
And so thank you very much. And so with the business portal, is that 20,000 points as well?
That's 25,000, and you can get 5 of them as well. So 125,000 points total in a year. So that can be huge for people, especially if you're in like a local like business type networking group, is that a lot of them don't even know that's there. I would say Southwest advertises that poorly. They do, if you do have a business account with them, they send it to you, and that's why I started doing it. Right, I did a webinar at a local business networking thing back in January, and I had like 10 people sign up. is that I was actually signing some people up underneath my daughter because I knew I was going to get capped out.
Awesome. One more thing about that. Do you need to have a business account established yourself to refer?
You don't. So that's the weird part about it, right? So my daughter, I mean, she's in her 20s, right? She doesn't have a business account. But on the little referral page, you put in basically your name, your Rapid Rewards number, who you're referring, that whatever, that you're not an employee, you kind of attest to all this stuff. So you don't need to have a Southwest business account to get it. So that's huge. And I was basically doing that to help her because she doesn't have the spend level to spend her way to a companion pass. So her getting whatever, those 50,000 points basically helped get her there.
Awesome.
Great
That's
question.
so cool. I have one more just because I'm super curious about this.
Okay.
So when we're earning that 25,000 points, that's just going towards the tracker, towards the companion pass, or is that 25,000 points we're using as well?
It's for using too, just
Okay.
doesn't go to status. Yep, it's 25. So it's, what is that? 25,000 times 1.4. I mean, that's whatever, 350, 400 bucks worth of points too. So it's definitely worth having those conversations and handing out some cards and stuff, especially if you do have those connections with small business owners. Because especially even if they only travel a few times a year, that's still a legit thing. The requirements, they need an EIN, they need multiple travelers, and they can get set up. The other rule and how I lost some is that they do actually need to fly on a paid fare. So I had a couple people that signed up, but they didn't. I think they had to fly within 90 days of signing up. Is that they were flying on points, so it didn't count. So I asked like, hey, this one didn't seem to come through, and they're like, yeah, they didn't fly. I'm like, all right, I'll get more.
Interesting. So they do need to make one
Yep.
trip with one person using cash to
Yep.
fly within 90 days of being signed up.
Yeah, it's on the, so I have a little like guide on my page of the requirements they need to do. So yeah, they do need to fly. And they do need to basically respond to an agent that basically calls them to set it up. It's a very manual process. You refer them, and then they have to approve marketing materials, like that they're willing to receive those, and then they basically get called of like, hey, like what's your business use and what do you need, is that they're really trying to set you up correctly. Is that they do have multiple programs. They do have the Southwest Biz Portal, and that's what I would call their lightweight program. But they also do have more intense corporate, like concierge level things that they do have for people that would have more travelers. So they're really trying to kind of test that out. So they end up sending you like a little quiz when you sign up for it the first time, of like how much do you travel, and how many people are you going to have travel, how much do they travel, what's your kind of travel spend, is that they're trying to figure out kind of where to put you in their program too.
Interesting. Great. Thank you.
As far as 524, I'm going to go through that. I think most of you are probably familiar with it, but we'll spend, say, 90 seconds on it. Authorized users to the computer algorithm look like they count. Can you explain it away in reconsideration? Absolutely. But what I would recommend is for personal cards not to make your P2 an authorized user if you don't have to. Is you can put them on mobile tap to pay and things like that, where they can still spend on the card without the physical cards being present. They can also do online shopping and stuff like that if they just have the card number saved in some kind of like LastPass or RoboForm type of app. So I actually try to discourage authorized users on personal cards just for that reason, is you do want that auto approval as much as possible, especially on the personal cards. The business cards in general don't count towards 524. There are some that do. Ones that do count that are probably notable here are the Capital One Spark cards. Those can be fantastic cards, but they do show on your personal credit. For the most part, business cards don't count. But before you go do business cards, especially if you're already at 2 and 3 of 524, definitely Google. Take a look at what card you're looking at, and does it count? Don't just assume that it's the business card and it won't count, because some do. Are the rules rigid? They pretty much are. There's tons of data points that they are. Obviously, in the points and miles game, everything changes. But the reality is that they're getting more rigid. As some people aren't even at 524, and they were getting initially designed, like kind of declined or under review for things like the Sapphire kind of reserve and things like that came out and revamped earlier this year. So it's definitely, when you aren't basically exhausted in the Chase program, you definitely want to tread carefully and make sure you know the rules, because once you're basically in what I would call Chase purgatory, you can't get these cards. So if you end up being over 524 and you want to go for a companion pass and you want to go do 2 cards, you're kind of stuck. And that's another reason why I generally suggest that you do the business card first, is that the Southwest business card doesn't count towards 524, because every once in a while a personal card will go elevated, somebody will go get it, and that's the card that takes them from 4 to 5, and then think that they'll all just get the business card later. No, like now that you're 524, you have to be 424 or lower to get a Chase business card. Even though it doesn't count against it, you still have to be below to get it. Yeah, I like that, Brooke. I don't think it's sneaky. I mean, we tap to pay wherever we can. I mean, restaurants. I mean, a lot of restaurants are getting the little mobile kind of handheld things. We love them. I can spend away on my wife's Amex Gold, even though I don't have one anymore. Is that it's super helpful, especially when you're working on sign up bonuses. One of the stories I told on a recent webinar that I did is that, like, I'll basically reorganize cards, especially when we're working on a sign up bonus. And she'll ask me like, hey, did you move some cards out of my wallet? And I'm like, yeah, just use the one that's in there, because and use it for everything until we're done with the sign up bonus. And then we can go back to regularly scheduled best for the category.
I guess I didn't mean sneaky. I guess I just meant brilliant. Like, it had not occurred to me until you said it, that instead of adding my husband as an authorized user, I'll just add my very card to his tap to pay. So by sneaky, I just meant brilliant. Hadn't occurred to me yet, is all.
Yeah, just basically, especially now, like some of especially with like Apple phones, right? Actually, I think Androids do too. I mean, you can usually tap them to the phone, so you don't even have to key in the number anymore. And then whoever is the primary will get a code to their phone, and then boom, it's in Apple Pay and it's connected. And the other advantage is Apple Pay, most of the time, even if a card is compromised, is that the Apple Pay card is encrypted and different. Is that I had a card that was replaced and I didn't need to. I thought, oh no, like I wasn't home, right? I'm just like, oh, it's going to kick her out. It didn't. Is that it was still good. Because
That's awesome.
the way that Apple and Google Pay are encrypted to the phone, it comes through as a different card number, a different expiration date, so it didn't quote unquote kill the account.
Sorry, I'm just sitting here slack-jawed because I'm like, oh, something I thought I knew that I didn't know. Fantastic tip. Not sneaky, brilliant, brilliant, especially with the Apple trick where it's like if yours gets compromised, it still works on my husband's Apple. Brilliant. That's all.
Yeah. So Betsy brought up a good thing, and I should have mentioned it, is that don't do that like when you know you're not going to be like in the same spot, right? Is that like my wife and I are pretty much always spending in the same area. So yeah, don't have the person that's not primary be out of the country when the other person's still spending like locally. That hits like all the bank's fraud algorithms of that person can't possibly be in two places at once. So yeah, definitely be careful, especially internationally. Is if you're doing that and you're together internationally, it doesn't look funky. But if you're doing that and you're literally a 12-hour flight apart, is that will hit some of the bank fraud things. We actually had somebody bring that up in the Chicago seminars as well. Is that their card got killed for basically that same reason, is that somebody else was using it nowhere near them and they knew it wasn't them. In that case, they should have been an authorized user, but they weren't. But in this case, yeah, that can definitely send it out. So I definitely don't do that when I'm traveling for work. I use my own cards. So I don't know if that's as much of an issue domestically, but it definitely is internationally. Great point, Betsy. As far as the sign up bonus spending, is that basically there's a few things that don't count. So some people see like say the spend is 3,000, they'll get a statement that's 3,149 and they think that they're there. But if their annual fee is 199, they're just shy of it. So the annual fee itself posted in the first statement, it doesn't count. Balance transfers, cash advances, cash late transactions, all those things like online gambling, buying lotto tickets, all of that is considered cash-like and doesn't count. Same with access checks. So if you're basically paying your bills through the access checks that they send, that doesn't count either. Otherwise, almost everything else does. Do you need an EIN to get a business card? And this is one that even in the last probably month or so, it's starting to get harder. So even in the last year, the bank has made it a little bit harder to get business cards, especially as a sole proprietor, but it can still be done, especially if you haven't done it a lot in the past. So you don't need it, but I would say going forward, everybody should consider it. It doesn't cost anything. You get one from the government. It's absolutely free. It takes like 15 minutes. Is that you can get one fairly easily. It's not a huge tax burden because you're still you. Is that until you're trying to set up something that you're trying to separate and make an LLC or an incorporation or something like that, where you do have filing requirements to keep it separate, you can have basically an EIN that is you. And that's totally fine. As far as a quote unquote thing to say on a reconsideration call is to say like, hey, I'm setting up this separate business and I talked with my accountant and they said I should have a business specific card for my business specific spend. So especially for your first one, some people do end up on reconsideration calls about why do you need this? And that's a great talk track for that. When you are applying as a sole proprietor, you are the business. So your business name is your legal name. So first and last, you're going to put the same thing in twice. Don't go make up a business name that you haven't registered or that you didn't file as an LLC as, because then they'll ask for paperwork. They'll say, hey, there's no proof that this business is real and you don't have it real. So don't just go make up a Max Craig's special business. Is that doesn't count if you haven't registered it. So then just do it as a sole proprietor as you. Same first and last name as on the personal part of it.
Craig,
does that make sense?
Yeah, Craig, I just wanted to add, a lot of times when I ask people who have a business card why they have a business card, it's usually because they tell me, well, my accountant wants to keep everything separate in the business account than for my personal, so I want to have both. That is a legitimate reason to tell them too. Tell them, you know what? I need to have my separate from my personal, from my business. I like to have both. I want to fly Southwest, but I can't keep it all my personal card. I need to have a business card because I want it, for my business. And it's a perfectly legitimate reason for it.
Yep. And as long as you haven't done, say, whatever, 3 or 4 cards with them,
Yeah.
is usually they're fine with that. Where the brakes are being pumped is people that don't spend much on their business cards and they are going for a third or a fourth.
Yeah.
And now the bank is being much more restrictive on that. Is like, why do you need more credit lines? You barely use the ones you already
Right.
have.
Right.
So they are slowing that down. And one way, quote unquote, around it is to have some cards attached to you as a person, as a business card, and have some cards attached to the EIN as a person. I have a few people in the last few weeks that tried giving another sole proprietor card. It didn't work, and they went back in like 31 days later, and they were able to get an EIN card through. So looking that you took the effort to make a separate entity seems to make them happy that there's going to be future spend on there. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind as well.
And Craig, they can only have one personal and one business, or can they have more?
They can, well, in Southwest program, they can
Yeah.
have 1 personal and 2 business.
One personal, two business.
So that is an option too. As much as I talk about doing the 1 personal and 1 business card, as far as the 2-card strategy, you can do 2 business cards. So say you're not eligible to get a personal card, you can quote unquote go for 2 on the business side. It is a high hurdle. It is doable. But you got to be really slow on your velocity, and you basically have to have had pretty much no business cards with this bank in the last couple of years for them to give you 2, because then there's definitely question marks of, wait, 2 business cards for the same business, for the same reward program, all close together. Like it just sends out alarm bells. I had a few people try it last year, and it was very mixed success. So the 2 business card way is definitely more of an uphill battle than 1 of each. As far as meeting minimum spend, I'm sure y'all know how to do this. Is if you're not, you need to accelerate it and you want to hit it fast, prepay some bills. I use my example is that my local electricity and cable provider, it's all in one for some reason, is that they let me pay $750 for a $295 fee. No percentage, just a straight $295 fee. Doesn't matter if I'm paying them $100 or $750, it's $3. So guess who every time they're working on a sign-up bonus pays them $750, sometimes multiple times. Is that then I just don't have a bill for like 4 or 5 months? Is that works great, and you're not kind of paying as much fee to do that, but you can do the same with cell phone bills and other utility bills and things like that. And then the other thing is like other types of subscriptions, gym memberships. I've done the same. Is just pay 3 or 4 months at once. They're okay with it. They'll just run you a declining balance. That way you can hit those sign-up bonuses faster, especially when your pass basically can't be used until you hit the sign-up bonus. Is you want to basically hit it as soon as you can, like say in January to do it, even though your natural spend, it might take you the full 90 days, is that you can do those things. Another one, make planned large purchases. The one that I probably should put in here too is unplanned large purchases. Is to say your HVAC goes out, you gotta repair your roof or replace it, right? That's a good way to look at cards you might not otherwise be able to meet those minimum spends. They might be higher, especially on some of those business cards. Maybe it's time to go look at a card you might otherwise not meet. Book future travel. That's one thing, especially if it's refundable type travel. One thing to caution about that is you can go on a splurge and book multiple trips and whatever, narrow down your days later. But definitely make sure that you spend through the sign-up bonus requirement. So say you go book $4,000 worth of hotels and you only really needed 1,500 of that. Make sure that in that sign-up bonus period that you do still meet the minimum spending requirement. They do shut down accounts every once in a while for reward abuse for people that basically get the sign up bonus and then do refund stuff and they don't actually follow through. It's fairly rare, but people that do abuse it, eventually it does catch up with them. Another thing, especially this time of year, you can support those local businesses and charities and make sure you buy through them instead of online. And then obviously putting your everyday expenses on the cards is a good way to do it. Let's see a question in there. Oh, Betsy, turbo went on Cadillac. Yep, that sounds expensive to me. My wife has one of those as well, and so far so good. The Chase, my bonus seem to love bonus points on my co-branded cards on gym membership. I wish. I don't know what it is about me. I don't get very good offers in those my bonus things. I usually get stuff that is just okay. I wish I got on gym membership because I have a card that actually has a lifestyle benefit on it that I get. I don't know what it is. I think it's $150 a year. So I make sure that the gym membership's on it for at least a couple months a year, but I would love to get more bonuses on that for sure. Hotels is one of the biggest things that people do to get points without flying. The multiplier is actually better than flying. The best multiplier right now for flying is 14x on Southwest. So you can get 20, even 25x multipliers. Where do you get the nice multipliers? On Southwest, it's usually in the high capacity locations and especially off season. So if you're looking, and actually Vegas as an example now, they're slowing down, right? They're definitely searching for customers, and one way they're enticing us to come there is somewhat dropping prices, but a lot of them are cranking up the points they're offering for us to come and visit. So you can get those 25, even 30x multipliers in Vegas. One caution about that particular area is watch out for the resort type fees, is that you'll have to pay those at a lot of those properties once you check in. But other good ones are like Orlando, Cancun, all the locations that have literally tens of thousands of rooms capacity, is that they will toss points at us to get us to come. So there's ways to look for those. A lot of people like, hey, I looked locally and I didn't find much. And it's just like, they don't have to be as competitive locally because it kind of the capacity is what it is. But it's in those vacation type locations that often has kind of that elevated type of offer there. One thing is that you can pay with any card. Another myth is that people think that you got to use your Southwest card to do the Southwest Hotel Portal. You don't. And actually, a lot of times I refuse to use the Southwest card because the travel protections on the Southwest card are much inferior compared to what I would call the real kind of premium travel cards that I also have. So you don't need to do it, but obviously you do get the spend credit if you do. So it really depends on where you're at, and if it's a non-refundable fare or non-refundable room, is it sometimes you would want those travel protections. So it's really kind of a personal decision of how you do that. As far as tier qualifying, sometimes there's a promotion. 97% of the time, it does not count towards status at all. And this, another thing to note is double dipping on the hotels program. It doesn't work. There are some properties that sometimes get it wrong. But when you're choosing to book third party, you're getting the Southwest points and you're sacrificing your Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt type of points. By doing so, sometimes you can add your reward number onto that reservation and you'll get some of your status benefits. Again, the property doesn't have to do that. It's really at their discretion, but you might be able to get into things like concierge lounges and stuff like that by adding your number. And another thing, and I have an infographic on my page about it, but the mobile only offers, like Southwest hotels, like sometimes the pricing's different when you're on your phone versus when you're on your computer. They must have some marketing data to support that. And I've found that out, I would say accidentally. Like I was road tripping and I wasn't going to make it to where I was going to go. And I needed a room. And I looked and I'm just like, wait a second, like this is cheaper than when I looked before I left. Like, and I'm just like, wow, the phone's different. So when I got there, I checked in and I looked again. I was like, why did I get the last discounted room? Nope. The app or the mobile web browser was showing a different price. than the computer. So definitely check both when you're doing that, because it does seem to matter.
Craig, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Can we go back to that last slide? So I just want to
Of course.
clarify. If you're using the hotel, your main purpose for the hotel is number one, companion pass and redeemable points. But it doesn't help you to the third bucket, which is A-list or A-list preferred. Is that what we're saying?
That is exactly what we're saying, is that it almost never counts to get towards status.
Okay.
So last year they messed up. They did a hotel promotion. You're only supposed to get 5,000 per reservation. But if you had a reservation that was all one reservation, is that people were getting 10, 20, 30. Like some people stayed like a week in Hawaii and got like 50,000 towards their companion pass off of one stay. They thought it was going to be capped at 5,000. So of course that started happening. And of course, pages like mine, it kind of got some fire on as people were all excited about it. And everybody started trying to do it. And of course, Chase fixed the glitch and it stopped doing it. So at kind of mid-tier, and I think it was like a 90-day promo. So like 40 days in, they basically did it the way they should have been doing it from the beginning. So some people were sad, but they didn't take away from it. They just did it how the promo was supposed to work, is that it was definitely not working the way that they designed it.
Craig, Carol asked a question, practical question about the new Southwest moving forward about the bags. Obviously, if you have status, I think they'll give you bags, and probably if you have a credit card, they'll probably give you a free bag. Is there any other way? Is there like any other thing that we don't know that we can sneak in a bag?
Yeah. So there are, but they're not going to be what I would call celebratory. Find somebody who does have a card. If you don't have one or can't get one, find somebody who does have a card and travel with them, because it is good. That benefit is good for basically the card member and up to 8 people on the same reservation plus companion. So it's really good for the whole group. So as long as one person in the group has it, that you do get that bag benefit. So status, as far as bag benefits goes, is A-list gets 1, regardless of cards. A-list preferred gets 2, and it's the same rule. Up to 8 people on the reservation plus the companion is all set. So that's one way to do it. I like what Betsy just posted there. If you have status on another airline, you can do a status match. And get a status match in as A-list or A-list preferred. So that's a way to get it temporarily. I would say the one caution with that is watch what the rules are to keep it. So usually have to fly like 4 one ways or something like that in 90 days. And then, but if you do that, then you keep that status for an entire year. So I would say to try to keep status. And then the other ways, what I would say are more obscure. Obviously, know a pilot, know somebody who works at Southwest, is that if you can fly non-rev actually gets two bags all the time. And here's a tip that I was going to save till the end, but I'll say it now since we're on the topic. Companions right now are in the non-rev bucket for Southwest in their system, and it's a mistake. But they've left it there since May, and I don't think they're interested in fixing it. But all companions are getting 2 bags. So if you're entitled to 1 because you have a credit card, but you're flying with your companion, is that you get 3 for free right now. And you have since May when they changed the rules. So I have actually a screenshot, and it's on my page, is of an internal Southwest thing showing all the non-revs. And basically companion pass holders are just in there. So that's how Southwest system is coded. There was actually a session at Chicago Seminars about think like an engineer. Like, think about how these systems are coded. Is that companions never collect revenue. We just need to collect taxes. Is that they're in Southwest system that when you add a companion, their system doesn't know how to look at their primary. It's a completely separate reservation and confirmation number. It doesn't know how to look at that primary to say, what does that primary get? Because technically it should be saying, oh, the primary gets 1, so companion gets 1. They didn't code that in the system. So they just defaulted everybody to get 2, just like it was like an employee or a employee family member flying. So it works out good for us, for those of us that have companion pass, that you actually get more bags because you have a non-rev with you. It makes no sense, but that's how it sits right now.
It totally makes sense for Southwest.
No, and yeah, it does. I mean, they get a lot of rent. I mean, one of the jokes is they're still running a Windows 2000 server, right?
Yeah.
They obviously had their meltdown a bit ago. It's just one of those things. Like, choices were made. Is that obviously they want to collect money from bags, but it was one of those things. Is I bet you IT came back with some crazy number to modify the system to do that, and somebody said, worry about it later,
Right.
or worry about it never.
Right.
Is that I have employees that follow me, and I have employees that literally tell people, like, you should follow Max Craig online because you would have known this, like, refundability rule, had you have known, because that's one thing that did come up today. Is that somebody bought a non-refundable fare? Is like, hey, if I change that and buy a higher fare, like with the credits, will I get all my money back? Like, no, that's not how it works. So once it's a non-refundable fare, it always is. The best you can do is make it transferable so somebody else can use it.
Oh, so non-refundable is transferable.
You can get yeah. So basic is not transferable, but what you can do with a basic credit is you can buy a choice or above fare to basically recycle it, cancel it right away, and then it is transferable. So that's one trick I have an infographic for on my site, is basically to recycle those non-refundable credits and buy a transferable fare. It doesn't matter if it's a refundable fare because you'll never get the money back in cash, but buy a transferable fare type with that credit, and then you can transfer it to somebody else to use.
Okay.
That's a workaround. It's not ideal, but it's better than it going to complete waste.
I just want to clarify that then. So let's say I bought $100 basic economy ticket, but the fare above it is, let's say, $150. Am I paying the difference of 50, or I'm paying a full 150 again?
So you would pay the difference to get you to the 150, but here's the trick.
Yeah.
The 24-hour rule applies. So you get a refund within 24 hours of booking. That is a federal rule.
Right.
So you can basically, when you cancel that thing right away, you say that you want basically the under 24 money to go back to your credit card, and you want the other money will come back with the transferable fare, basically stamp on it. So you theoretically start to spend extra money to upgrade to the better fare type, but you don't add more money that's going to expire. So you do get away with it as long as you cancel within 24 hours. You take the cash that you added back to your credit card. So that portion is refundable on any fare type.
Okay. Let me just clarify. And now it sounds, the first 100, because I'm canceling the 24, goes back to my card, right?
Correct. If you pay
it's basic economy, because it's first 24. I totally get that part.
Correct. So basic economy, doesn't matter what fare type, you
Yeah.
spend 100, you cancel it within 24, it all comes back.
Okay.
But say you did basic 2 months ago,
Okay.
and now you want to cancel it,
Yes.
but you get back 100, but now it expires in 4 months because it's 6 months from booking. And you say, I'm not traveling in 4 months. This is going to expire on me.
Right.
You can go take that 100, go buy a $150 choice fare.
Got it.
And then you basically cancel that right away within the 24 hours. The extra $50 you spent will go back to your credit card because you're within the 24-hour rule. And now the same 100 you started with is now there as a transferable credit, still with the 4-month expiration date on it. You can't fix the expiration date, but you can make that 100 so I could give it to you because I can't fly, so Ben's going to use it.
Okay, I understood now exactly what you just said, but I don't think the average person would understand what you just said. But
no,
I totally get it.
And that's why I have the little whatever step-by-step infographic on it. Is that it's a process, and that process was actually very similar before. Is that before the flight credits weren't as, what I would say, didn't have to dance as much, but it still was that the flight credits weren't transferable on the cheapest fare. So the way to do that was take some flight credits, buy a transferable fare, and then you can push it to somebody. So classic use case, to go on a little bit of a tangent here, is that like when our are kids or adults, right? But if they got like, say, like vouchers or flight credits from their repricing or whatever, is that I would do that for them because I usually fly them on my points because I'm the one chasing status and they don't fly enough to get status, is that I would have them transfer the flight credits to me and I would burn them because I earn status that way.
Okay.
So that was a way that even though it was the cheapest fare type and wasn't transferable, I would take those credits and basically transfer them to me, knowing that I would just buy them whatever stuff back with points instead. So that's another way to do it, is to push. And that's actually probably one of another tip to throw out, is that vouchers that are given for mechanical delays and things like that, those count as revenue. So you earn tier points on that. So if you have a companion pass and you both say get a $150 voucher, don't each use one. Make the person that might actually get status use both vouchers. The vouchers have a name on them, but they're not name constrained. So you can use those for anybody. Betsy has her hand up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, amazing. Lots of goodies here. I originally had a question about, I just want to ask this real quick so I don't forget it. So with this terms and conditions about extending the A-list status, because this is likely something that I'm going to try and attain, is that from the day that you status match, or do you think that is the day that you take your first flight?
I think the clock starts ticking the second they approve you for the match.
Okay.
I'd have to read the rules, but I'm pretty sure the second, like you go apply for it, second they say like, hey, your match is on, like the clock's ticking.
Yeah.
So you need to basically don't do it until you have what I would say travel imminent. Like say you know that you're going to be able, like look at the rules and the fine print for the status match you have, and if it is 4 flights, like don't pull that trigger until you know you can get those 4 flights, so you only have the status for those 3 months or whatever. You won't have it for the entire year.
Oh yeah, I've done that. I've missed it with Delta before with my Alaska status.
Nope. And I caution people on that on my other page, is that when you do status matches, like make sure that it's either imminent that you're going to be able to requalify for it, or that you're willing to do it as a one and done. Because there's usually like, if you do it, you can't do it again for 3 years. There's usually rules about it, is that they know that you can do it, but if you're not really going to pursue, say, double status with multiple programs, or switching that, hey, I'm done with Southwest, I'm never coming back, I'm going to do all Delta or all American, like then I would say don't do it, because it's not worth it, because you're only going to have it for a little bit of time.
Cool. My second question too is the 6-month rule with the, I guess,
Basic.
transferable credit, like it's a year with Alaska, so that's why I'm, my perspective is it vary on every airline per the airline, or is there like domestic airlines do this airline, or?
It does. It's all over the place, right? So basic, I would say that Southwest is actually probably on the more generous side compared to others, right? Basic fare actually does earn points. Not many, but it does, right? On Delta, it doesn't, right? It's 0 points on a basic fare. But it also, on some airlines, basic is unchangeable, period. Completely sacrificial. If you change it, it's gone. And then some, and I'm pretty sure Delta is one of them, it's like a $99 change fee. So if it's a $150 fare, I mean, they're keeping 2/3 of it. If you cancel or change, they're keeping it. So you don't lose any of the fare on Southwest. It's just that the end date is a little punishing, right? Because their schedule usually goes out like 8 to 9 months. And the rule is 6 months from booking. So I have a whole article that I wrote about, if you book in advance, like when the schedule gets released and you want to book basic, know that is sacrificial. Like if you're booking 8 months out, it's sacrificial the second you hit 6, right? So you have to know for sure that you're going, or know that you're taking the risk. My recommendation is that you're doing that, you should always book choice. Personally, I pretend like basic's not there.
Yeah, I
choice
agree
is
with
usually
you.
only a little more,
Yeah.
and it gets 6x versus 2x. And I actually, I'll tell you all in secret, but I actually have a fare calculator that I'll be launching here in the next couple weeks. I think most of the tech sorted out today to be scalable enough for whatever, a few thousand requests a day on it. But it basically proves the math of that, hey, the points that you earn that you can use later, especially if you have a companion pass or have status and you get some multipliers on that, is that actually there's a bunch of what I would say math arbitrage that you're actually best off buying the highest fare is that the multipliers kick in, especially if you have a list preferred, you're getting a 28x multiplier, is that covers the whole fare upgrade between say choice and choice extra. So that is something that's out there, but yeah, the 6 month from booking is really a punishing way to treat the cancellation because people are booking more than that out in advance.
Betsy, it's not just Southwest. American is doing the same thing with their basic economy as well, with 6 months for basic and then 1 year for. So they want to penalize people. They really don't want people booking basic economy. Let's just say they want people to pay with the higher fare, and they're trying to penalize those who book basic economy. So I mean, I think my advice is only book it if it's last minute and you know you're going to fly it and there's no other choice. You can't cancel, then go for it. But if you're booking out with some time, it's a real risk running into basic economy.
I
Yeah, it's
absolutely
not worth it.
agree. I actually teach my students, I use the word predatory because it just doesn't have any, it's so rigid and it doesn't get you any value, as much value as it would be to pay $20-$30 more.
Yep, and that's usually what it is, especially on Southwest. Like if they're running a fare sale for like $79, the choice fare is like 99. Just pay the $20, and then you get a year to use it, right? And you get, and the other thing, and I didn't get into that too much yet today, but the choice fare also gives you same day confirmed change capability. So that way you can go earlier or later. Otherwise, even status members on the cheapest fare can only go standby, which means you can only go earlier. So if you have some 6 a.m. flight and you have basic, you're stuffed. You have to take it because you can't switch into a later one. If you have choice or above, you can pick anything that's available that entire day and you're immediately confirmed. You don't need to go to the airport for a maybe. You just whatever, stay at your hotel, go explore the city, whatever. So there's definitely and Betsy says same day change. I am, and so I'll go on a quick little tangent. I love same day change for work. A lot of times I book the last flight home, knowing that I can always switch earlier. And now with Southwest going into assigned seats, that's not going to be so easy because I'm probably going to look at the seat map before I do it. Before I didn't, because I could always just get on after a group as a status member. So you're basically only 1/3 of the plane is full. So I'll get my aisle right towards the front. But now all those people at 48 hours will be picking their seats. And if you make that change 2 hours ahead of time, you're probably going to be in a back middle and then I'll just not do it. Right. I'll just keep what I had.
Craig, can we talk about seats for a second since we're talking about this idea about seat selection? Will they be adding on extra legroom seats? I heard about that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So they are, and actually about 70% of the aircraft are already updated. So I would say that out of the last 10 flights I've taken, like 8 of them have been upgraded already. So those first 5 rows on the plane are extended leg room, and then the exit rows are as well. Those are already reconfigured and they're nice, but right now they're still in the open seating format. So that means the first people on the plane obviously are getting them, but the first people on the plane, and this is something that I don't say on the page, but I'll say it in this group, is that because of pre-boarders, is that they changed this whole equation. Because when you got 30 people that are all claiming they need pre-boarding, those are the 30 people that took the 5 rows of extended legroom.
Yeah.
And the status members walk on, you're in the first 15 people of status, and you can't get the seats, even though you fly 50 times a year, is that it's part of the reason why they're doing it, is that it's going to be like every other airline where pre-boarders can go on early. They can't stop that. That's a federal rule, but they're going to have to go back to the seats that they're assigned. They're gonna be in seat that are row 23 in the middle because that's what they booked, and they don't have status, and they were too frugal to pay to be in extended legroom. So it's a mixed bag for sure, but there's gonna be less pre-boarders for sure because now there's not going to be an advantage to it. They're going to get on the plane first, but they're gonna get what they paid for, which is whatever, some seat in the back that was free at 48 hours.
Right.
So that's the bummer of it. But the extended legroom seats are fantastic. I'm not even that tall, but I do appreciate it. I actually got to fly. They invited some creators to basically launch some of their new planes. Probably about a month ago, in Phoenix, they had 4 of their new aircraft there, and we got to basically fly on it the first time that took passengers. Is that the new seats are totally incredible. They're Recaros, they're super comfortable. It's a completely new configuration. Unfortunately, the exit row isn't 2 across anymore. That's the bummer of it. That the 2 across is actually the very last row on both sides. But those new planes are truly fantastic. Have the power ports and extra legroom, all of that. It's truly a step up from the Southwest that some of y'all probably remember. So to go back to Ben's opener, is that they actually are opening a lounge. They actually announced that recently, that their first lounge is going to be in Hawaii. And to me, that totally makes sense because, like, okay, yeah, there's a like a club lounge in Midway, and although it's not a quote unquote Southwest lounge, it might as well be because Southwest is like 93% of the traffic out of Midway. But it's just like, I was local there for many, many years. Is that I don't want to sit in a lounge in Midway. I want to be in a lounge when I'm making like a longer connection or something like that, right? Is that's where I really quote unquote want it. So it totally makes sense with the Asian partnerships that they've been announcing lately. Is that basically Hawaii is going to be a gateway to basically to Asia, and I like it. It's going to give us options, and I think options are good. So repositioning is a whole concept. I have a whole webinar on that. Is that repositioning to Hawaii to go to Asia is going to be a thing. Is that you can basically take Southwest with your companion pass to get to Hawaii, and then do the rest on EVA or do it on Air China, right? Is now the Philippines were announced as well. So that's huge.
Craig, are there partners already flying to Hawaii? Is EVA or China Airlines have a flight there yet?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked yet because those are like they're just starting to announce that stuff. But I would presume that those are going to start to be possibilities. And then I think long term, Southwest is teased like we aren't going to go to Europe unless we can figure out how to have at least business class type of arrangements, right? Is that are they going to do that on a MAX 8 aircraft that can make it to? I mean, if those aircraft can make it to Hawaii, right? They can make it to Dublin or Iceland, right? Are they going to start operating their own metal across the Atlantic? It's possible, but again, they need to get a new plane configuration and they would need to get it approved.
That's great. That's great. My mom, when she first came here in the 60s, would tell me she would go through Hawaii and they had to do a day layover and then make it to the US. Like this, I haven't heard about a connection via Hawaii in like 40 years. Like that becomes the main thing.
I think it's good for Hawaii, right?
Oh, it's perfect for Hawaii.
Is to have options, and then I mean, like my wife is actually Korean, and so like flying to Seoul, I mean that's 14-hour rip, right? I wouldn't mind splitting that up and staying in Hawaii a night or two on the way, because even in business, that's a long time to be on a plane.
Yeah, that's a game changer. I mean, that's not going to be hard to get people to position to Hawaii. I mean, I thought, people can do that. They will do that. That's awesome.
And even to shake off some of the jet lag too, right? Is like acclimate a little bit to the time change, do it stepwise. We actually did that, and I'm glad we did on our last trip to Europe. Is that we did a stopover and kind of did a little bit of a break on our way to Greece, because Greece is quite the rip from Nashville. We flew Nashville to O'Hare to Belgrade to Greece, and we stayed a few days in Belgrade, and that was great.
Craig, I know we're kind of a little over time, but I'll give you a chance to like wrap it up. Yeah.
No, yeah. So this is about status. Basically, you can spend your way to status. That works. That is one way to get there, is to just throw, $235 grand on your credit card. So it's possible, but it's not ideal. That's why I put that up there. And this is actually a screenshot from my site. Is it can be done, but I wouldn't recommend it. Be proactive. This tracker is in your app. Take a look at it. Make sure you know where you're at, for your status, for your companion pass, and all of that. is that that's all there. Same thing. You can look at your point history and see where your points came from. They come from cards, credit cards, dining. Is that you can see all of that right in the app. Same with the shopping portal. You can see what's going on. That hey, you did some click throughs on these. Did they come through? Did you actually finish the order? Is that there's details in the website to help you. So I have a ton of things I didn't talk about today, and I could go on. I'm sure you guys figured that out. We had a lot of questions, and I love the interaction. Is that there's tons of other stuff we didn't talk about. Is that there's tons of rules there. Is that those are all things that are in my featured section on the Facebook on the Southwest Facebook page, and this is the QR code. So I hope it works online. But if you take a picture or try to basically scan that with your phone, the QR code should go to a little like link tree type of page where it'll have my creator account. It'll have the Optimized Southwest page, the Optimized Transferable Points page, which is my other page that I talk about points and miles. And then it'll also have my website.
Yeah.
So for the person that asked about Instagram, it's pointstothemax.com with periods. I'll be honest though, I don't invest a lot of time in Instagram right now. That's part of why I went to Ben's mentorship at the Chicago seminars, is he did a creator thing, and that proved to me I do need to invest better in Instagram. So I'll probably be making actually more Instagram accounts. I'll probably make a Southwest specific one because I don't want to put it all on the one that I have, but I will be putting more content in Instagram. Most of it is just cross-posted now. But
Greg,
definitely appreciate the time. Yep, question?
seriously be careful with using Southwest's name either in your handle or on your bio,
Yeah.
because I have a friend who's specifically getting sued right now by a company because she was using that in her ads. And of course, that's a little bit different, but still
Oh yeah,
there is a notion or some kind of temperature where big companies are going after people for using language that is trademarked.
yep. No, I did get the Facebook page approved. Is the Optimized Southwest. So that's probably what I'm going to call it, Optimized Southwest. But that's part of the reason why I haven't done it, right? Is that they are weird about that. The banks are even more weird about it. But yeah, they are, because it is whatever. It is their name. But yeah, ads are where a lot of them do draw the line. Is that it's their trademark. But yeah, my traffic is all organic. That's funny. Is it yeah, I could, right? Is it people might not find it though if it has an O in it instead of an
You don't need to worry. If you are making Southwest content, people will find you.
No, and the reason why I got invited, so I think that was a question actually in the chat there. That's how I got invited to the new plane launch. Is it was a gal that does follow me that runs the official Southwest fans page. Is it I actually started cross posting her. Is it when she first launched that she had like 1,000 followers, and then I started promoting her. She had 2,000 within a week.
Okay.
Is that it's a little whatever, be nice to others type of thing, helped her grow, and she appreciated that. So
Craig,
yeah,
that
I
works.
was one of the 4 that helped a lot. Yep.
Craig, that works on Instagram as well.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I mean, if you do, like, I just say this. I follow a lot of people, creators. I don't really think I mean, people do talk about SWAT, and there's some people who are family travelers. But if you were very niche in that a Southwest type of account, I'm sure you're going to get people who are going to come to you on that one. So I think you'll have massive success on that part
Now,
of it.
yeah, and I don't want to be whatever arrogant about it, but I don't think anybody does as deep dive of how to work it as I do. A lot of people, especially on Instagram, at least the ones that I follow on Instagram, it's a lot of the like, look where I went and I went for 560. Like they're not telling you how they did it, they're telling you that they did it. And it's just like, but wait, there's like tons of stuff missing. Like you're not really kind of coaching people to make it work for them. You're just kind of bragging that it works for you.
You'll do well with the niche specific program. I think you'll do well. Instagram lends itself for that. Well, Craig, I want to thank you for joining us. Fantastic, folks. Please go and follow. Go follow Max, Craig on Instagram as well as his Facebook group. And maybe you want to drop your Facebook group in the chat as well, Craig?
It is this. It's
Yeah.
Optimized Southwest. So
Awesome.
with Optimized Southwest Companion Pass and Rewards, it's a whole mouthful. But if you search for Optimized Southwest, there's not another one. That's part of the reason why I named it that way. Is nobody did it that way, at least not yet with Optimize.
And if you
that's
guys,
the link pod, yep.
and if you guys scan the QR code, it'll take you to his link tree type of, and you guys can be able to join his group. Craig, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I
Appreciate
don't
it.
have a Southwest, so referral link. So folks, if you want to go support Craig with his Southwest codes, please go and do.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. So if anybody is on here and looking for a Southwest link, just message me on Facebook Messenger or on Instagram, and I'll direct you where to go. Depending on which card you want or you're going to go for first, I might send you a personal link versus have you go to my website because I still have some people I'm trying to help get there.
Thank you very much. Craig, I want to thank Betsy. Thank you for joining as well. All the questions. Appreciate Eric as well. All those who are joining today. Appreciate everyone. We will have a follow-up. We have a session tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Autopilot joining us. Autopilot is a brand new app. You guys will hear about it very, very soon. They are going in and allowing you to book whatever flight you want, and they will go and check if you book an American, a United, a Delta flight. They're going to check to see if the flight price went down. They're going to use free cancellation to help you get a flight credit. And they take 25% cut. You get the rest in a flight credit. That's their free program. There's a paid program as well where they take a smaller cut. We have the founder joining us, Sam Hollander, tomorrow. I hear they're going to add Alaska to their program next. And maybe Southwest. We'll hear about it. If you guys are interested in joining, feel free. Craig, you're invited as well. Betsy, if you'd like to come back for tomorrow, we have our session tomorrow on that. Looking forward to having everyone. Thank you again. Have a good night, everyone.
Cheers. Thanks all.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it. Thank you, Eric. Good seeing you. Bye-bye. Have a good night, everyone.